Cheryl Shaw here. We are talking miracle assistance dogs, and we've got a lovely guest on today. Cheryl, please introduce.
Yes, welcome. Are you there, Fudge?
Yes, I am.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, you're the Director of Training for Miracle Assistance Dogs. Can you tell us what the organisation is all about?
Miracle Assistance Dogs trains dogs to help people who are living with disability. Now, we do that several ways. We can either train the dog for the person, so they can apply to us for that dog, and the other way is that they can actually come along to our dog school over at Waratah, so we're not too far away, and they can train their own pet dog to be their assistance dog.
Oh, okay. So with that training of their dogs, is there any particular breed of dogs that you look for, or what type of dogs come along?
Well, the dog needs to be able to do the tasks that's required. So people are often surprised that you can use quite a lot of different breeds. A Chihuahua, for instance, is fantastic for diabetic alert. If you're looking for a dog to do seizure response, you might need something a little bit larger like a golden retriever. But we do have someone using a cattle dog at the moment for that type of work. And amazingly, we have a lady with incomplete paraplegia using a little Maltese cross Shih Tzu.
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
I didn't know you could use all of those breeds.
No.
I had no idea.
Because like you were saying before, Sarah, you were looking at those golden retrievers. It's a dog that you expect to do
That's
that
right.
type of work. Well, that's really interesting, Fudge, that they any breed of dog. So do you, when the training school that you have at Waratah, can people just come along, or what's the system? What do they do to get involved with their dog?
They need to contact us through info@miracleassistancedogs.org.au, and we'll send them out the relevant paperwork. Other than that, once we've got that paperwork there, they come along to the dog school. It's $30 a year to join the organisation and $10 a week for their training class. And for those that need a little bit of extra support, we have an extra program on that's $40 a month that they can come along to. And that helps solve any problems that they might be having. We do teach a lot of theory to try and help people understand how their dog's mind works. And that helps alleviate some of the problems that they might normally experience with young dogs, for instance, or dogs that like to bark. It's surprising. We do have dogs come along that people have adopted from rescue groups or the RSPCA, and when those dogs come along, they might present with a few different problems that the person's not used to handling or doesn't know quite what to do. And that was the case with the little dog I was telling you about, the Maltese cross Shih Tzu. It was a little bit of a barker, wasn't too happy to be touched. Now that dog is happy to meet everybody, absolutely loves the world, and is opening doors and drawers, closing them, picking up lost items or finding lost items, picking them up, giving them back to the owner in her wheelchair.
That's amazing.
It is amazing, isn't it? Yeah, and so anybody basically can attend the training, and you identify problems with the dogs, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so long as that person has a disability that they're trying to train that dog for, we can certainly help them out. Occasionally, of course, there is the situation where that particular dog is not suited to the work that they require the dog to do.
Right.
But quite often we get a surprise ourselves. Quite often we find dogs that we wouldn't think would be suitable for that work, and they prove us wrong, which is lovely.
Yeah, with the training would obviously be very different than obedience training, wouldn't it?
Look, there has to be a high level of obedience, so we do the obedience training as well, but we use positive reinforcement and a lot of patience. So we're using clicker, food reward, and patience. And the way that we use our patience is if we ask the dog to do something and we've been training on that particular level and it doesn't quite seem to be able to do what we want just yet, we'll just wait a while. And usually with waiting, the dog starts to think about what is it that we want? You know, we're not asking it to do anything. What happened? And often they'll just figure that out for themselves. And as a result, sorry, go on.
It's making the dog think.
It is. It's teaching them to problem solve. So we have dogs out there that were trained to be brace dogs, for instance, now doing diabetic alert because they figured that out all by themselves.
So when you're placing these dogs, is it just with children or is it with adults, or who really benefits from this?
Anyone who has a disability is going to benefit if the dog can provide tasks that help alleviate some of the symptoms of their disability. We have a lovely little girl over at Carrington. Her name is Amber, and Amber has one of our dogs called Aslan. Amber is on the autism spectrum, and this dog is making a difference between whether she can have her hair cut or not. She used to go along to the hairdressers with Mum and get pinned down to have a haircut. Now she just takes off her shoes and socks, puts them on top of the dog, and has a haircut while she's sitting in the chair.
So it's really given her so much more confidence, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We get stories like this all the time. It's wonderful.
Oh, that is really great. And pretty special little miracles, aren't they?
Oh, they are, and that's why we have the name Miracle Assistance Dogs, because people were calling us up all the time and saying it's such a miraculous change in our lives. And so, of course, if you shorten that, Miracle Assistance Dogs, MAD. So our dog school is the Mad Dog School.
So, Fudge, you said there was a couple of ways. You can either go along if you've got a dog to see whether, A, it can offer the services that you need, but if your dog is going really well, can you then loan your dog out to help other people? How does that sort of work?
Yeah, no, we don't recommend that people loan their pet dog out to other people. That's not a scenario that we really work with. We used to have a program a few years ago where we trained the dog, and people could apply to have that dog for a week to see whether they really wanted an assistance dog to work with their child. That was usually the program.
Right.
What we found was the dogs really enjoyed being out there working, and they really didn't want to come back and do any more training because they were getting spoiled.
Fair enough.
So the idea of working compared to sleeping on the bed all day was a little bit different.
So the idea is you bring your own dog to help you with your needs.
That's right, yeah.
Excellent.
So people can get involved with your organisation as volunteers, or is that something that you don't do?
Oh, we're always looking for volunteers, and especially those that have the skills that we're looking for. Administration is a large area, but of course dog training. We're looking for people who have skills in clicker training to come along to the dog school and learn what's a little bit different about training an assistance dog. So as I said earlier, there's that obedience side,
Yep.
but there's also the task training and teaching the dogs to problem solve, which most people find interesting. But if anyone wants to find out about volunteering, for sure, please contact us, info@miracleassistancedogs.org.au.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful program.
Absolutely.
Fudge. Yeah, I'm really impressed by the stories that you've told about Aslan and the little girl that owns him. That's a really nice outcome for her. Is there any other standout stories?
Oh, look, I have lots of them. You could get me here all day. We have a little girl in Sydney. Her name is Billy, and she has one of our dogs. Interestingly enough, its name is Fudge.
Who named that?
The people who received the dog, they were very appreciative, so they named the dog after the
that's
trainer.
lovely.
That's really sweet, yeah.
It gets quite convoluted because the little girl's name is Billy, and the man who donated the money to buy the puppy, his name was Billy, and they named the dog Fudge Billy, so it became very confusing.
I bet.
But that little girl has a condition called lysencephaly, and that's smooth brain disorder. So her parents were told that she would never be able to do things any more than about a 3 to 6 month old infant. And the day that we turned up with the puppy, we took a crew of photographers down with us. So there was 2 carloads of people, and we turned up and we showed the little girl the puppy, and the sponsor was talking to her. And I looked across, and the photos are being taken, and I looked across the room, and here's the mum and dad with tears streaming down their face. And I thought, oh my God, what have we done? So I asked everyone to just take a break for a moment, and I went over quietly and I said, I'm terribly sorry. Obviously we've done something wrong. They said, no, you don't understand. We don't see our little girl squealing with delight and deliberately trying to touch a puppy.
I'm getting
That's lovely.
goosebumps. That must be such a rewarding job. I mean, it's just amazing what, A, people like you do to facilitate this, but B, what our dogs can do in terms of enhancing our life. It really is
and that
amazing.
flow on into the community. It's just wonderful. Well, Fudge, it really is a wonderful journey that you're on, helping all of these people, and thank you for sharing your time with us today, and I hope everything continues to grow for you.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. And if I can just say one more thing, we are looking for sponsors with some of our puppies at the moment. So, again, if they'd like to contact us, I can give you our phone number, and maybe they can contact you and get our phone number that way.
And what was your site again?
Sorry, what was that?
What was your website once again?
www.miracleassistancedogs.org.au.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Fudge. That is great stuff there. Some great stories.